We're going to tell you who's going to have the best season of the best players from the Locked On NFL Top 100 today on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL Barbershop that you can find every single day in the afternoon here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And that is Matt Williamson, who joins me every single Friday. Matt Williamson, of course, covers the Pittsburgh Steelers and is part of the Peacock and Williamson podcast. We'd like to welcome the everydayers and thank you for making us your everyday choice here and your first listen here on Locked On NFL. Also, to the new people, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we'll give you a reason to stick around. Here's what we're going to go through. We're going to use our Locked On NFL Top 100 list, and we're going to take the top 6 groups, 1 through 10. Who's likely to have the best season of those guys? Then we're going to go 11 through 20. So here's what we're going to do. At the end of the show, I'm going to tell you why Jared Verse is primed for more. Right smack in the middle, Hutch. That's Aiden Hutchinson. His return is needed in Detroit, and I think he's going to respond in a big way at the very top. Watt and Burrow lead the NFC North. All right, here we go. That means that both of those guys are listed because one of them is in the top 10. The other one is in the second group, and there's some people that ain't real happy about that. So we're going to start at the top with Joe Burrow, man. I think of this first group, and of course, if you're watching, you'll see the names that I'm going the names that I'm coming from. But if you don't, if you're listening, I'll read them for you. Lamar Jackson was 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, Josh Allen 3, Myles Garrett 4, Joe Burrows 5, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain, and Saquon Barkley round out that group. Matt, what do you think about that group as a whole?
Really strong. I really have no fight with the voters on this. I'm kind of glad that somebody showed up between Allen, Mahomes, and Jackson and Burrow, just because I think he's a tier 1 player, but he's clearly number 4 amongst the quarterbacks. And if I had to pick a guy, I know that's what we're doing here. The easy one to me is Mahomes, because I really think Jackson and Allen are really nipping on his heels and had better seasons than him. And I think he's going to take it personally this year. I don't love the Rashee Rice news for Mahomes' case, but that one's a little too easy. I'm taking Micah Parsons. He's going to be my defensive player of the year vote this year. And no one seemed to notice, but when he came back from injury in the second half of the season, I thought he was the best defensive player in the league. But at that point, Dallas didn't have Dak. It was kind of hopeless. No one was paying attention. I thought he was unbelievable.
He is an unbelievable player. He is not the choice that I made, though. Okay. Here's the choice that I made. I think I already told you, so the surprise is out. But here's why. Here's the guys that Locked On Bengals.
I don't see a great reason not to think he's going to repeat that season.
That's a good way to put it.
I don't think that anything that he did last season is particularly unsustainable. The way that people were critical of the 9-8-9 season when all it was throwing go balls to Jamar Chase. Like people are like, they're not going to keep that up. Teams are going to take that away. And they take it away a little bit, but can they improve the offense as they iterate the offense? The big question is really the offensive line. But for Joe Burrow, I really don't see any reason to think he's slowing down.
All right, the offensive line is always a problem. Of course, the off-field stuff with the defense is a huge issue, but I think a healthy T. Higgins without that hamstring gives them 2 or 3 more wins, and I think that's enough that if he has a season, if Joe Burrow has a season like he had last year, I think he'll get the MVP because a lot of people thought he got screwed last year.
Yeah, and I totally get it, and I'm on board with these guys, what they said from Locked On Bengals, that it is sustainable. He's that good, though. It's not a fluky season at all. But the one thing they did touch on was the O-line. He takes as many hits as any quarterback in the league, and durability has been a problem. That worries me a little. I don't think their line's particularly good. He's going to stand in and take shots because he's tough as can be and competitive. Durability is the only thing in his way.
Yep. And when you speak of durability from Joe Burrow, you're concerned about it because of guys like T.J. Watt, who got a bag yesterday. That's your neck of the woods, man, before we hear from Chris Carter, because T.J. Watt is in my second group. Tell me about that contract and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I haven't really totally unpacked it to know where all the money is year to year, but it's a 3-year deal. The big takeaway, there's 2 big takeaways for me is, well, first off, I knew this was going to happen. I mean, he's going to retire a Steeler. That's their type of move. They reward good players. They keep the Cam Haywards and TJ Watts and the Pounceys and the Castros forever. I think this implies something that I've been saying forever is I think starting next year, their starting quarterback is going to be a rookie contract because this is a 3-year deal that about overlaps when you got to pay your first round quarterback a year from now. And what I want people to really know is, yes, he's the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, but the percentage of cap is lower than it was his last deal. So in a way, yeah, that's how you have to look at these contracts. It's percentage of cap, not how many dollars there are. The cap's going up really fast.
Yeah, folks look at it in a vacuum. So Watt was number 11 on our list, and I'll go through the names here. TJ Watt at 11, Chris Jones 12, Penei Sewell 13, Derrick Henry and Max Crosby round out 14 and 15. The last 5 were AJ Brown, Nick Bosa, Lane Johnson, CeeDee Lamb, and Trey Hendrickson, who also needs to get paid. Being 11th wasn't enough for Chris Carter from Locked On Steelers. Listen to what he says, and look at who he takes aim at again.
Steelers edge rusher T.J. Watt comes in ranked at number 11 for the Locked On Podcast Network's top 100 NFL players. But as Kendrick Lamar says, it's not enough. I'm Christopher Carter of the Locked On Steelers podcast, and these rankings continue the trend of undervaluing T.J. Watt despite him dominating the most important statistics on defense during his time in the NFL. Since he and Myles Garrett entered the NFL together in 2017, T.J. Watt leads all of the NFL with the most sacks, the most tackles for loss, the most quarterbacks hits, the most quarterback pressures, and the most forced fumbles of any NFL defensive player during that time. He also has the most passes defensed and most interceptions of any edge rusher in the NFL during that time as well. The Steelers know T.J. Watt's value, and that's why he's probably about to get paid big with a new contract extension. While the Steelers have never had a losing record under Mike Tomlin, they are 1-10 when T.J. Watt doesn't play. T.J. Watt is the ultimate difference maker on defense, and he should be ranked higher on this list.
Chris Carter making a case for him. Chris actually recorded that prior to T.J. Watt getting that big deal last night. I'm not gonna argue with it, man. You know, the numbers don't lie, but they don't always tell the whole truth. Chris and I had a nice back and forth a couple of weeks ago when I had Myles Garrett listed as the best defensive player. He didn't change my mind, but he did make me think about it.
Yeah, trust me. I mean, I'm a Steelers guy, and Steelers fans hate when I say this, but I'm just trying to be as honest as possible. I think there are a handful of tier 1 edge rushers. I would put Bosa in that category and probably Crosby, Parsons, Garrett, and I would put Watt third. And that's how the voters put him too. I mean, I think Garrett's 1, Parsons is 2, Watt is 3. But the difference between Watt and Garrett is so minimal. I mean, I don't have a problem with 11. If he'd have gotten in 10, we'd probably be like, oh, he's in the first batch. What's really the difference, 10 versus 11? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it. So we're going to take a look at 21 through 30, and that's going to be return of someone in Detroit by the name of Aiden Hutchinson, and then we'll go through 31 through 40 and see if we can get some surprises out of these groups of guys in these groups of 10 from our Locked On NFL Top 100 that will have the best season. We'll get to it in just a second here on Locked On NFL. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Look, man, I had subscriptions all over the place. I was stepping on myself, and those companies aren't going to tell you. Monarch Money will tell you, and it's going to start saving you a whole lot more money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use your code LockedOnNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LockedOnNFL for half off your first year. All right, moving and grooving right here on Locked On NFL with my man, Matt Williamson. We're getting to the third group of our Locked On NFL Top 100 picks. 21 positions, 21 through 30. Let's run through the players. Tristan Wirfs, George Kittle, Derek Stingley, Fred Warner, Tyreek Hill. 26 through 30 is Kyle Hamilton, Creed Humphrey, Sauce Gardner, Jordan Mailata, and I always mess up Jordan's name. My bad, Big Jordan. If I run into him in an alley, you're going to be like, get my name right. And finally, Aiden Hutchinson. And there's no surprise here, Matt, that out of this group, I'm going to pick the dude that's coming back from injury because I think that whole team is coming back from injury. And I think they're going to have a big year, and I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to show exactly who and what he is all about.
Yeah, he's actually my pick too. I was going to take Wirfs, but the surgery worries me too much. I think Wirfs is an elite left tackle, but he's going to start the season banged up. Hutchinson, kind of like the Parsons conversation, pre-injury might have been the best edge rusher in the league last year. I expect the same when he comes back.
Yeah, I do too. And one thing you're going to get a kick out of, and I put this in our Locked On thread, I said, everybody feels disrespected. You already heard Chris Carter say he's disrespected, right? You should have heard Joe Marino talking about Josh Allen, who was number 3. He was disrespected. We're going to hear some more of this stuff. Now, listen to Matt Derry talk about the Lions actually got 6 people on this list. That's second to Philadelphia. But Matt says they were probably disrespected. Listen.
Penei Sewell, number 13. Aiden Hutchinson, number 30. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the fine Lions wide receiver and all-pro, coming in at number 32. Jahmyr Gibbs, Lions running back, 37. Kirby Joseph, safety, 45. Jared Goff, Lions quarterback, coming in at number 82. Now, the 2 players that I had put on the list, I thought the Lions should have had 8. And the 2 players that I think got snubbed and didn't make the list were Brian Branch and Sam Laporta.
Now, I kid about Matt. Matt's supposed to stand up for his people. In fact, if he would have thrown DJ Reed in there, even though he wasn't a Lion last year, he is one this year, I wouldn't have even been mad at him if he said that DJ Reed need to be in that group. Matter of fact, I'd probably put him in there before one of those 2 other guys he was talking about. However, that shows you just how good they are and the impact that Aiden Hutchinson can have when he comes back.
Well, first of all, the top 100 is the top 6% of the league. You know, it's 53-man rosters times 32 divided by 100 or whatever. I mean, it's a hard list to make, you know. I understand every local guy having a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure Joseph should have been on there. You know, the other names we mentioned are just as worthy to me as Joseph, but I thought he was a little rich for my taste too. I mean, he's only had one great year. Yeah,
no doubt about it. You're going to find a theme with here. It's going to end up with me saying something at the end of this show about who I think is going to the Super Bowl. Okay. I'm going to name 1 team. I ain't going to name 2. So I just gave you a hint that obviously the dude that I'm going to mention plays for that team. So let's go through 31 through 40. Again, this is from our Locked On NFL Top 100 players. Jaden Daniels was very tempting at 31. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of those guys Matt Derry was talking about, is 32. Dexter Lawrence, 33. Bijan Robinson, 34. Jalen Carter. Oh, my God, this was so hard to pass him up at 35. Yeah. Laramie Tunsil, 36. I think that's a little high. You see Jahmyr Gibbs there. Brock Bowers, very good player. It came down to these 2, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford. And I remember talking about an all-LA Super Bowl. It could possibly happen. And the odds at FanDuel were tremendous. However, I'm not putting Justin Herbert in there. I'm going to go with old familiar. That is Matthew Stafford. I think he could actually have an MVP season, and here's why.
Stafford, man, do I appreciate Matthew Stafford more today than I did yesterday, and I already appreciate him more than ever. Well, that's because uber talented, has a Super Bowl, and is hungry to win another one. And if you look at the Rams roster and the talent around him, you could easily make the case that this is his best supporting cast since they won the Super Bowl in 2021. And ESPN's Bill Barnwell, he puts out his list of best supporting cast, and he has the Rams supporting cast as a top 5 group in 2025.
It's not just Matthew Stafford. It's not just their talent. To me, it's Sean McVay, Les Snead, and the entire machine, man.
Yeah.
I just think Matthew Stafford is primed to have one of those careers. People say he's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think he's primed to have one of those careers that puts him over the hump this year because of the addition of Devontae Adams.
Couldn't agree more. I love the Adams addition. I think McVay, frankly, is the best coach in the league. I think Stafford already is a Hall of Famer, whether he gets in or not at this point. My pick from this group, though, is Dexter Lawrence. I thought that was just way too low. I think he should be in the top 10 and is in the conversation for best defensive player on the planet right now.
Surprisingly, somebody else was left off, and Vita Vea wasn't even in the top 100. I think Vita Vea is top 40. I think he's a top 40 player. But those guys do a lot of dirty work, man. And when you do dirty work, sometimes you don't get a whole lot of credit. All right, we're going to round this out by going through groups 41 or 41 through 50 and then 51 through 60 and finding the person that has the best chance to win the best chance to have the best season. How about that? I did put Stafford down as MVP, and then I'll give you a little bonus and tell you who I believe going to the big game from the NFC. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. Locked On NFL, naming guys who are going to have the best season and telling you why from our NFL top 100 groups. We're doing the top 60 players today. We got a new group here, man, and I'm going to go through it right now. Trent Williams, that offensive tackle, is 41. Cam Hayward, 42. There's another Steeler. Here's a Ram again. Puka Nacua at 43. Christian McCaffrey at 44. Kerry Joseph, who we just talked about, is at 45. Now, 46 through 50. Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Calais Campbell. That's an odd one. That's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara and Charvarius Ward, who didn't really have that great of a season last year with the 49ers, but understandably so for some tragic things that happened off the field. You want to know who feels like they are the most disrespected, not only team this year, not only this player I'm going to name from that group, just in all history of all years, for them to be this disrespected. I want you to hear Lou Dibiase from up at Philadelphia because I'm taking Jalen Hurts from that group.
But if you put Justin Herbert or Jaden Daniels ahead of Jalen Hurts, I'm sorry. I can't really take your opinion seriously. So, look, at the end of the day, he's a Super Bowl MVP with a ring. He's outplayed a top 2 player of all time in 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. He has the second most touchdowns of any quarterback in football since 2022. Like, the proof is in the pudding. Sorry, that's to me what matters. He rises up when the games matter most. He's a top 5 player when they need him to be. And I think right now they don't need him to be because they have a super team. But when they do, like Super Bowl 59, like Super Bowl 57, he's that guy. It's in a way that people don't always like stylistically. His strengths aren't always the strengths that people value as much. But for me, and again, I'm realistic. I'm not putting him ahead of Burrow, Lamar, Allen, or Mahomes. But to put him at number 46 behind Jaden Daniels and Justin Herbert and Matt Stafford, I think that's wrong.
Look, I get it. Accomplishments over talent or accomplishments over what you think someone's ability is. But I just think you have to be careful saying it's true that he outplayed Mahomes in 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. One they won and one they lost. He might have had, if they'd have done what they did for LeBron in Cleveland when he lost to Golden State, he could have possibly won the MVP in a loss when they played Kansas City a couple of years ago. But when you say beat potentially the greatest quarterback of all time in 2 big games, I'll give you an even better one. How about this? Eli Manning beat the greatest coach and the greatest quarterback of all time twice when it matters. So does that make him like a dude that deserves to be ahead of more talented people? That's my take on it, Matt. What about you?
I'll be honest. This group of 10 to me, I thought was very weak. And I love our locked on voters, but I thought a lot of these guys were too high on the list. Campbell, Joseph, Kamara at this stage, Ward, etc. So I didn't have a guy that really jumped off the page. I like the two old men at the top, Cam and Trent Williams. I'm going with Trent Williams. I still think he's one of the best offensive linemen on the planet and really has been his whole career.
They were tied. I believe they were tied. They either had 5 or 6 on this list and did the 49ers.
Okay.
And I had it yesterday on my show. I said, let me give a little pause to myself for thinking that they've just fallen off. They are still very, very top heavy.
Yeah.
They hit on their draft picks last year. If they do that again, they're like Renardo Green and all of Kamara, all of those dudes are really, really good players, right? Ricky Pearsall. If they are able to do that again this year, then with 2 straight classes of young players that are going to make contributions, and 3 of those rookies on offense, the defensive line, if they're able to do that and get that kind of production, then that top heavy part, yeah, they'll do the heavy lifting, but those young guys will be able to help the 49ers stay, at the top of the NFC West. Last group, 51 through 60. Very, very interesting group here.
Yeah.
Because it involves
I like this 10 better than the last 10.
I do too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys in here that do a lot of dirty work. And this is the one that scouts and coaches will love because it's with people that they know are road graders and people that make a difference. Now listen to this. 51, Trent McDuffie. 52, Chris Lindstrom. 53, Christian Darrisaw. 54, Joe Tooney. And 55, Big Jeffrey Simmons down there in Nashville. All right, last 5. Quentin Nelson, Jared Verse, C.J. Stroud, Devin Witherspoon, and my man Zach Bond that's came out of nowhere. He was a journeyman, and now the dude is like defensive player of the year. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's just all of that stuff. I tell you what, this will not shock you because you heard me talk about Sean McVay and the Rams. And here's another reason why I think they're going to be very, very good. I'm taking Jared Verse to have the best season. Check this out.
Absolutely. And just kind of going into Jared Verse, I mean, there's going to be a lot of expectations on him this season. I mean, he was already riding high off that defensive rookie of the year award that he won. And there's always going to be a lot of pressure when you win that award in year 2. But I think what makes him so enticing and just so intriguing as a player is there's just so much room for improvement based on what we saw last year.
He's going to come back stronger, which will make him better. He's going to come back with additional tools in his toolbox that's going to make him harder to defend.
I never believe in fake hustle. I always identify fake hustle, like guys that are fake hustling, right? It was not fake hustle when Saquon Barkley popped out for that long touchdown and Jared Verse chased his butt all the way to the end zone and actually caught up to him. Because then the Rams got the ball and almost won the game. I think that is symbolic of what they are going to be doing this year. We are not going to rest. We are going to go all gas, no brakes until the wheels fall off. And that's why I'm going to boldly say right now, well, first of all, he's my choice in that group. I think the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
I love Verse. And it's funny because I've watched him a little more just coincidentally the last week or so. And there is nothing fake about this guy. I mean, a lot of mistakes are made in scouting with edge rushers that just win with speed at the college level and get off. You have to win with power in this league, or tackles will just, overset you. And he is in contention already for the most physical and run through your face defensive end in the entire league. And he's not the best athlete, but he is so nasty, and his tape is as fun to watch as Parsons or Bosa or Watt or anybody. So he was one of my 2 from this 10 that I identified as well. I'm going to throw C.J. Stroud out there too. I mean, at this price, I'm buying C.J. Stroud all day. If he's a stock at this price behind the Mayfields and Hurts and some of those dudes, sign me up because his protection was so bad last year. Awful. I still think he's a superstar in the making too.
I do too. I got a couple of questions about a couple of teams I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Washington. I think I asked you before, and you said you needed to pump the brakes on him a little bit. Terry McLaurin, that's a situation that's going on right now where McLaurin wants to get paid. They're like, hey, man, you're pushing 30. It's sad because that kid is giving everything to an organization when they were awful, right? And last year, you finally saw how good he was. He has sort of a Anquan Bolden, Hines Ward, Amon-Ra St. Brown presence about him.
Yeah. Like he was a great special teamer at Ohio State. People don't think about that, just the dirty stuff,
Can you get away with paying a wide receiver a lot of money at this stage the same way you got away with paying T.J. Watt a lot of money at this stage.
I think Washington's treading on dangerous territory here. They've changed the outlook of that building, that organization so much from the Daniel Snyder era. But this is it's maybe their best player in the last 10, 20 years. You have to pay your homegrown studs that do things right, much like Watt, to keep that goodwill, to keep that locker room presence, the fans engaged. You have this great young quarterback. I hope this gets done soon. This one's starting to bother me that Washington could be kind of shooting themselves in the foot here a little bit. Get it done, even if it's an overpay.
Yeah. So we were talking about Jaden Daniels. This is the time that you overpay someone like that.
Right, absolutely.
Because you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. You don't have to worry about the optics of what it looks like and setting a precedence. You know the precedence you're setting? You're telling people that if you work your butt off and you give it everything you have, we might overpay you just a little bit because of your presence, because of who you are. And I'm not even talking about it like the dude isn't a real good player. The people I just compared him to are really, really good players. But sometimes there's a value beyond statistics and beyond measurables. And it's about not how good he is overall, which I think he's very good, but it's really about him being the heart and soul and what he means. For instance, they're going to retire Art Monk's jersey this year. Mm-hmm. That is the quintessential classy individual. That is the type of DNA you want constantly injected into your program. And I'm with you. I think they're treading on very, very thin ice, Matt.
Yeah, you just don't let those guys walk out the door. What are you going to do? Trade them for a third-round pick and then take a huge step backwards? Or it makes no sense to me at all.
Just ticking them off for no reason. Ticking them off for no reason. When you got all of this good stuff going on, it just bothers me a little bit. For the rest of the Locked On NFL Top 100, man, make sure y'all check it out, man. It is on the Locked On Sports Today page. My man Peter Bukowski does a great job navigating through that. And then with your own teams, you can find it wherever you get our podcast. Your guys' instant reaction from the players that are on the list. Make sure you look at it each and every day, man. If you have to, getting in the training camp to see where your guys are. Don't get mad, man. I heard a lot of people getting mad and wanting to fight folks and all of that stuff, man. Y'all relax. It's just the top 100 list, but it's our list, and that's our reference point for the players that we like here on the Locked On Podcast Network. You guys have a great, great weekend. By the time we get together Monday, it will be camp week, at least for me and most of other teams around the National Football League, and it's about time. It is almost toe meets leather time, y'all, so you know the Locked On Podcast Network is going to have you covered here. Y'all have a good weekend, man. Take care. For Matt Williamson and Tony Wiggins, we'll see you later.